Oh, why am I just out of everything already? I feel like I'm out of spoons. I'm out of energy. I'm out of, I don't know. I'm out of strength to open this. Hope not. Oh, for God's sake. That's just freaking perfect. You. Aha. 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 Ha. Ha. That's better. How's everybody doing tonight? Oh, well, welcome, AK Watch. Nice to have you here. Always nice to have new people around. I don't have a lot of spoons either after all this heat. That's fair, Carolyn. I've seen the news about what it's like over there. Whew. Hello. Nods like it's a Tuesday. How exactly does a Tuesday nod differ from any other day of the week? I'm now curious. I'm out of them too. All of them. I'm on the verge of a Dorothy's Bornak moment. Oh, we should all be so lucky to be that coherently snarky when we snap. To either get ice cream or commit a felony, I'll decide in the car. Yeah, that is kind of where things are at. How would you describe each of your subscribers in one word? I do not have the bandwidth for a question like that. Don't ask me to process. That's not happening tonight. Tonight needs to be, I'm not saying it needs to be surface level questions, but it needs to be something that I can dive into without having to think too hard about it, so that I can just run on semi-autopilot. That's tonight's stream. Do not take that as me not thinking you folks are worth the effort. You are worth all the effort and love in the world. I just only have so much to give, and it may be less than you deserve. But we're here. We're trying. We're doing a thing. I don't know what this thing is, but we are doing it. So do it. What's the worst day of the week? I'm debating Thursdays because I can never get the hang of them. Yes, that is accurate. I see it like at this point, when you work from home and work for yourself, your days bleed together in a way that, going to an office job, a Monday to Friday thing just doesn't do. The distinction between days becomes very indistinct. If I didn't have certain things that I do on certain days, I would lose all sense of time. Like, new video goes up Saturday. For the next few weeks, I've got new Loki on Wednesdays. Normally, I stream on Twitch on Wednesdays. I need to clear my schedule on that because I'm not going to be able to do that the next 2 weeks, which is part of why I'm preemptively exhausted. Also reactively exhausted. I'm exhausted for multiple reasons. The first being that, I spent the last 5 days doing a crap ton of driving around, and I did get some relaxing in. I am happy to say that, but a lot of driving was going on in a lot of different parts of several states, and that was exhausting. And I'm going to be doing that again, actually starting tomorrow, and then I'll have to spend about a week trying desperately to get ahead of my workload because I've got a heck of a lot more driving to do next week. And it's not worth going into why all of this is going on. And nothing's wrong. I'm fine. I'm not, and there's no massive life change going on. I'm not moving or anything like that. It's just things just are happening rapid fire, one after the other. And it's just And then you add the heat on top of that, and it doesn't help. And yes, I understand it's way worse on on the West Coast right now, so sympathies. Do you like Winnie the Pooh? Winnie the Pooh never did much for me. I mean, it's vaguely pleasant. Nods of the week are taught in British school. It varies the amount of eye contact and what degrees your neck bends forward. So, see, if that's the case, I'm curious as to how the British cut loose and what a Saturday nod looks like. Like, I would imagine, like, a Tuesday would be fairly terse. But, like, a Saturday would be like, But then again, that's me being not properly British by your standards, I'm sure. British by heritage, but not by lifestyle. As a delivery driver, I know your pain. A friend of mine's married to a delivery driver. He works, I think it's UPS. But this pandemic has been a nightmare because he's just had so much work to do. I watched Winnie the Pooh last month, and I legit cried the whole movie. Oh, it's so pure and innocent that this cynical jerk just couldn't stop crying. Yeah, that happens. A Saturday nod as a head crashed on a pub table. I support that agenda. Cheers to that. I imagine a Saturday nod being like Professor McGonagall being giddy when she finally gets to use the Statue of Life spell. I don't know what that was. What am I doing? What are you doing? Why are you watching? What is going on? What are things? Words? Why? Don't know. My spouse fixes appliances. She's been busy all pandemic. Yeah, that would do it too. Any thoughts on the new Foundation trailer? I forgot it dropped and I haven't watched it. I still don't know about how viable that is, at least as something interesting. The thing is, like, Asimov his writing is heady and dry. Like, let me put it this way. While the degree to which they screwed it up was impressive, it was not shocking that something called iRobot was turned into a brainless action movie, because like trying to actually translate Asimov straight, just it's not cinematic. What are your thoughts on The Crow 1994? The Crow is possibly the most 1994 piece of media that exists, and I kind of love it for that. John Vinyls, I don't know, but you get a heart. You get a heart, my friend. I didn't explain interactivity on the. Oh God, I'm off to a terrible start. So, super chats get you a heart and my undying gratitude, and also, of course, it guarantees I will read your comment and or answer your question as applicable. I try and keep up with the chat otherwise, but I don't make any promises short of that. So, what is your favorite musical by Lynn Ahrens and Stephen Flaherty? Ragtime, Once on This Island, Glorious Ones, Anastasia, Seussical. The only ones of those that I know is Once on This Island. Actually, no, I do know Seussical. It's okay. I actually like Once on This Island a lot. That's a really, really good show. That's easily going to take the top spot for me out of those options. I was like, this is embarrassing because like there's part of me now as an adult like, should we have put that on? But like when I was like 20, I was in like a community theater production of that, and it was a lot of fun. And I'm glad to have had that experience, but, you know, it was done in Vermont, so we were all really white. And, like, I know that, like, there is a version of the script. There is an alternate version of the script for something other than an all-black cast. So it's, like, it is accounted for and, like, it is permitted in terms of getting the license to do it and everything else. But at the same time, like, I'm looking back at that going, I'm not sure we should have done that. It was a fun show though. Oh, Castillo There's a heart for you. I'm very sorry to hear you had a bad day. Just want a heart because you had a bad day today. I hope that however much time you have left in the day treats you better. And more importantly, tomorrow is a new day, and I hope for the best for you then. Have you heard of the Big Finish short story competition? I have. I've heard of it in the past, and maybe some year when I'm not in the middle of trying to publish my own, publishing my own damn novel. Maybe I'll even throw something in to compete with that. But yeah, it's one of those things that I'm so buried in work. The idea of actually participating is just I can barely wrap my head around it. Thomas Johnson, no comment, but just dropped a super chat, which is wonderful and greatly appreciated. You get a heart. Thanks. Also, I can relate to your experience. I played a Chinese character in Thoroughly Modern Millie, possible Native American and Fantastics. Yeah, it's the kind of thing, again, it was 20 years ago. I was 20 years old. It was done in Vermont. I don't think anyone would have judged us too much at the time, but I certainly wouldn't do it now. Any thoughts on Good Omens being confirmed for season 2? Okay, so when I first saw that announcement, because someone tagged me in it on Twitter, and when I first saw that announcement, I got exceedingly nervous because the first one, it pulled it did some original stuff too, don't get me wrong, but it pulled so much from the original book that even knowing that there were ideas and things sketched out for possible sequels, it terrified me as an idea, especially because previously, after show running the first season, Neil Gaiman said he's not going to do something like that again. And that he did it to basically shepherd and guard the work of his dear friend Terry Pratchett. Now, he is being listed, and I think as a co-showrunner, so it looks like he's taking on a little less responsibility. But Neil Gaiman being directly involved is the one and only thing that has me cautiously optimistic as opposed to flatly terrified. Because I do not want this to be another American Gods situation, which had a phenomenal first season and then went in its second season. The box office movie that was number 1 on your 10th birthday, the song that was number 1 on your 7th, and the Broadway show that won Best Musical on your 10th birthday defines 2021 for you. I'm not looking any of that up. So that requires too much effort and work. So no. Have you got any classic Who reviews lined up anytime soon? Hopefully next month. This is what's really frustrating about all this crap, and how I said, I've got all this driving and I've got all this other stuff going on, and it's preventing me from catching up. I'm still getting out on time the stuff that I normally get out. The Saturday videos I've kept up with low key. The podcasts and all of that, but I'm not catching up on all this other friggin' backlog, which is driving me up the wall. I just want to get ahead. That is all I want, and I can't seem to do it. It's really starting to drive me crazy because every time I think I might have a chance or a plan, or it looks like things have fallen in such a way that that they'll allow me to get ahead, something goes horribly wrong. And not necessarily bad, but something that I forgot to account for kicks in, or that I'd planned ages ago, or that is an opportunity I can't miss, or is just something that I need to participate in and might have nothing to do with work or anything else, but this demands my attention now, and so I can't. That's good water. So, what do we got? We got more super chats. Thomas Johnson came in again. You get another heart, my friend. I watched Doctor Who Demon's Story and then The Masked Singer for the first time. That was my weird night in. Keep being awesome, beer. Thank you. And thank you for the hearts back. That is an interesting doubleheader you set up for yourself there. I've yet to see The Demons, and I don't really have much interest in shows like The Masked Singer. I know what it is, and it's kind of like, okay. Ben, I'm not even going to read that out loud because, and I say this with love, fuck you. Even as a joke. Even as a joke. Fuck you. Ugh. All right. So, Purple Raider. You get a heart. What do you think of Power Rangers? Power Rangers came in and I was just I watched a little bit of the first season, like mainly out of boredom, but I was a little too old for it. It's the kind of thing that a lot of friends who I had, their younger siblings got into it. Sort of where that landed timing wise. I was just a touch too old. It's one of those things I've always been aware of, but like, other than a handful of episodes in the first season, I never really watched much. Oh God, that's so good. Oh. If you had to watch a Broadway musical every day for the rest of the year, which one would you choose? Next to Normal. Ooh. New type, JB Lee. You get a heart. I'm vaguely singy today, and I don't know why. Is the Doctor having a love interest really controversial anymore? Because back in the day, love interest felt like a taboo due to the 90s TV movie pilot. It has become certainly less taboo for the Doctor to show that kind of affection. But let me put it this way. I think this would be an issue not even even if this happened with someone other than Chibnall. So like if this happened, no matter who it was, this would cause a fan uprising. If and like again, to be clear, if this happens and people outcry over it, it's just because of the inherent thing. If they decided to make explicitly for the run of a show, the Doctor and the companion a romantic couple, not building towards a relationship like with Rose, not one pining after the other like with Martha, not an occasionally appearing character like River, but the actual main companion and the Doctor a couple. Canonically, like for the run of a series, I think you would still get fans going up in arms. So while the general idea of the Doctor being affectionate and having those kinds of feelings in general is not the same kind of taboo it used to be, I think there are still ways to overstep and overpush it. So, and I say that as someone who has zero interest in the idea that the Doctor even has a love life. Like, I don't care so hard. It is a deep and unabiding well of disinterest in that very idea on my part. What are your top 3 favorite comic book runs? Okay, so I am going to I need to put an asterisk on one of these and state flat out, enjoyment of a work is not endorsement of a person. And no, that's not me saying separate the artist from the art, because I've done whole videos saying that you can't do that. But I am saying that one of these I have not I don't have a replacement for. And so at this point in time, it's going to make my top 3, even though I very badly want to be able to name something else at this particular point because of the writer involved. Like in that way, it's a little bit how basically until things like Nanette and now Inside happened, it really irritated the shit out of me that I could not think of a better comedy special, like as a complete package, than Bill Cosby's himself. And it was kind of a relief to experience things that I did legitimately think were better. And so I didn't have to keep acknowledging that thing anymore. But anyways, back to the original question. Neil Gaiman's Sandman. Here's the one with the asterisks. Transmetropolitan, which is by Warren Ellis. So I am not encouraging the purchasing of it. I already own the full run. To be fair on that one, I also have not reread it in a long time, and it may not have aged as well as I think it did. But I'm also not in the headspace right now where I feel like I can give it a fair shake trying to reread it, or I would be able to divorce my my current issues with the writer from it, so I wouldn't try anyways. But at some point, if I ever get comfortable enough to revisit that material, I would not be surprised to find out it is not aged as well as I would have liked it to anyways. And then the other one is The Max. Sam Keith, The Max. Hot take, I actually think the animated series is slightly better. Not because it did any major changes. I actually think that story works better in an animated presentation than still images. I just think it does. Okay. AK Watch. Thank you very much for the super chat. You get a heart. I have always hoped to see the Doctor and the Master in a love relationship, and they get messed with all season by the Valyard. I hope folks know who that is. I know who the Valyard is. I would be really happy to see the actual relationship between the Doctor and the Master explored, beyond the adversarial nature of it. And that's one, in my mind, that is the biggest loss of Capaldi not doing one more series. Because what I want, what my heart wants and wanted then and will always want and will never have, is a full series of Doctor Who where Missy is the companion to Capaldi's Doctor. And for me, again, with my issues and reservations around portraying the Doctor as that kind of romantic anyway, I wouldn't necessarily want it to be romantic, but I would want that relationship to be further explored and further elaborated on, further delved into, and it really does feel like a shame that it didn't happen. And if it ever does, it's not going to be for a while, because I don't think Dewan's Master is going to be able to pivot in a way that anything other than a complete harsh adversarial relationship is ever going to exist between him and, well, definitely Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, and probably any Doctor. And that's not a criticism of his performance. It's just that the way he has chosen to portray the Master, I don't see that evolving into a non-adversarial relationship. I just don't. I want to see future companions from another planet or time period. Andy, I have been saying that for literally years. And here's what I do appreciate about the Chibnall Whittaker era so far. They did break from having the young, conventionally attractive from modern day England companion, in the sense that we had two male companions, one of whom was older. I actually did appreciate that. But can we please Have someone not from Earth, not from modern times. Don't care if it's the future. Don't care if it's the past. Just somebody else. And I do understand that there is a logistical reason for why they have Earth-based companions, is it helps justify so many Earth-based stories, which they need to do to keep the budget under control. Because if everything was set on foreign planets or space stations or sets they had to build or required more working, they couldn't just use locations or existing sets from, just stock modern settings, then the price tag on the whole thing goes up. I do understand that logistical issue, but I'm just sick of modern era human companions. Really sick of them. And I say that, here's the thing. I am more interested in getting a companion not from the modern era than I am of getting one from another planet. Because if I'm going to be completely honest, most of the companions who came from worlds other than Earth weren't great. And actually, some of the worst ones came from places other than Earth. But, taking from the past, from the future, just shake it up. Stop defaulting to modern Earth all the dang time. Thoughts on the works of Alan Moore? Alan Moore is very good at what he does. He puts a lot of work. Alan Moore doesn't know how to half-ass anything. I find some of his stuff overrated. I found League of Extraordinary Gentlemen to be pretty overrated. I find Watchmen to be frustratingly nearly unimpeachable. That's one of those pieces, it's irritating how good that is. And as for his other stuff, his work on Swamp Thing was really interesting. I've read some of, I really need to read more of Promethea. Because I found some of the concepts in that really interesting. That's one thing I will always give more credit for. He is never uninteresting. Even at his clunkiest, when things aren't landing, there's still going to be good ideas behind it. So, and that's more than you can say for actually, I would say for most writers who have been writing comics for as long as he have. Most of them have started to just recycle ideas or have started phoning it in very evidently. I want to see an earlier regeneration of the Master face off with a later version of the Doctor. The Doctor would know what the Master does before they do and try to stop those events. So I'm into part of that idea. Because here's the thing. There is a big enough gap between when the Doctor sees the Master, that the Master has gotten up to all kinds of things the Doctor hasn't encountered before. I would absolutely be down with the Doctor encountering an earlier version of the Master, but not in I know how these specific events play out way, but rather in a way that the Doctor has other means to use foreknowledge of what the Master is going to be like to actually possibly miscalculate, because, you couldn't really do this, but hypothetically, if you were able to have Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, who at this point is used to dealing with Sacha Dhawan Master, encounter the Roger Delgado Master, if she tried to deal with him the way she deals with Sacha Dhawan, she would find that, that actually doesn't work. I've miscalculated, and I'm playing I'm not playing the adversary exactly like I thought I was. And then in addition to that, you could have her knowledge of how the Master operates and possibly find ways of throwing him off his game by dropping, future failures that he's going to have, pointing out how many times he's going to just lose, presumably this time too, just to throw him off. I think something like that would be interesting. I would find it less interesting if the Doctor just flat out knew how these specific events in the story were supposed to play out. I would find that less interesting. Ooh, new type JB Lee, another super chat. Thank you so much. It's a beating heart. I don't know why. Speaking of who, how do you feel about the queer themes and subtext of the Russell T Davies era, especially? It's been over 10 years since it ended. Have they aged well? Well, first of all, not a lot of it's subtext. A lot of it's pretty textual. And for the most part, I don't think they've aged too badly. I'm hard pressed to think of too many things that like flat out it's like ooh, kind of makes me go like that. But that element was never my favorite part of his era anyway. And like it's funny, a lot of the quintessential queer content from Davies' era wasn't actually written by him. Like Captain Jack, created by Moffat. Time Crash, which has the master wife beard joke, written by Moffat. You know, it's actually kind of interesting to go back and realize that as much as I think it's easy to say that it was because of Davies, and he certainly fostered an environment where those sorts of things were allowed to fly, but he was not the originator for a fair amount of the quote-unquote gay content that went on during his own run. It's actually kind of interesting to think about. 2 questions. What are your favorite stories for the Silmarillion? I'm about to lose nerd cred. I haven't read the Silmarillion properly. I've skimmed it. It's even drier than The Lord of the Rings is, so pass. And do you prefer Gilbert and Sullivan or Bertolt Brecht? I know the name Bertolt Brecht. I'm going to have to Google that, though, because I'm not coming up with shows off the top. I do like me some Gilbert and Sullivan. So my inclination is going to be, it's probably going to be them. But you know what? Let's give old Bertolt the benefit of the doubt and actually look. Oh, Threepenny Opera. Okay. Yeah, no, I like Gilbert and Sullivan better. I just like the fun of their stuff. It's just so fast and rapid fire, and there's so much word. Like, I'm a sucker for wordplay. I'm a sucker for high-end dad jokes, and that's basically what Gilbert and Sullivan are doing about half the time. And it's just so. I remember, God, I was probably 10 years old, 10 or 11, and I saw the Mikado performed, and I laughed so much at that show, and like culturally insensitive. Like, I understand that it is problematic. Oh, thank you, Carowin. Yes, John, vinyls, however it's pronounced. I did mean to give you a heart for that. Sorry about that. Thank you, Carowin. But Gilbert and Sullivan, it's so sharp and it's so fast, and that's what I love in comedy. I love rapid fire comedy, which feels like it's starting to come back a little bit. But we went through the decade plus of the Judd Apatow era of mainstream comedy. Which was the death of wit. And I just love I love rapid fire. I can barely keep up with these jokes. They're happening so fast. And they are clever enough that you have to think about each one. They just are coming at you like that. I love that. So I love Pirates of Penzance. I love the Mikado. It's really, really good stuff. So yeah, they're easily gonna get it from me. For I am a pirate king, you are, hurrah for the pirate king. And it is a glorious thing to be a pirate king. Hopefully I don't get in trouble for that. I don't think that's going to get copyright struck, although the performance rights still get held by somebody, I think. I don't think... That might be public domain. Is it? Hang on. Is Gilbert and Sullivan in the public domain? There it is. Ah, it is public domain. Hurrah for the Pirate King. I am the very model of a modern major general of information, vegetable, animal, and mineral. I know the kings of England, and I quote the fights historical, from Marathon to Waterloo in order categorical. Okay. There's been so much in the chat, and I don't have it in me to scroll back. There were even questions I was like, oh, that's interesting. I should look at that. I saw Blind Guardian came up, and I don't know the context. I love Blind Guardian. Thoughts on the Highlander reboot? Is that still happening? Is that still a thing? Because it shouldn't be. There's my thoughts. Do you read any manga, watch any anime? Nothing currently ongoing. My interest in anime is honestly more with films than with the series, because the series can be a commitment. I don't have that time. You need to find Doctor Who and the Pirates. They do a fantastic Gilbert and Sullivan parody. Ooh, color me intrigued. 6 or The Greatest Showman? Ooh. For reasons of slagging off as opposed to elevating problematic historical male figures, I'll go with 6 for right now. Doctor Who and the Pirates was made for you. Okay. I'll try and remember. Like, people are going to have to hit me up on Twitter or something to remember, because, like, I'm hydrating. I'm exhausted. We'll see if I remember any of this. Chris McGovern. Why did I pronounce it like that? I do not know, but you get a heart. You clutch that and hold it. Hold it tight. In the good times and the bad, it will lead you on. I love Gilbert and Sullivan, even with the cultural issues. I just enjoy the music and silly humor and quotes. HMS Pinafore and Trial by Jury also rock. It's all good. They just do really, really good stuff. Whenever I listen to Blinding Lights, I think of Because I Know You Like That Song. That is a good song. What do you think of the sudden resurgence of love for the Prince of Egypt? All that makes me think is, dang, I suppose I should actually get around to seeing the damn thing. And no, Kara, I am not drunk. Yet. When I think of Modern Major General, I think of Cartoon Individual by Animaniacs. See, for a while, I would hear Modern Major General, and I would think of the Elements song, which I think is They Might Be Giants, which is just going through all the elements on the periodic table. But it's that same rhythm and tune. It's a lovely tune. What am I doing? During your Lucas Guilty of Queer Baiting, I hissed when you mentioned rolling. You told me that's a natural reaction. At this point, it just kind of is. Just tweeted the link to your Twitter. Thank you for twitting at me on the tweeters. Much appreciated. Tom Tom L is Elements, I think. Okay, possibly. Thank you, Ian. Ian's standing up for me. I am not pished. Which death of a Doctor Who cast or crew member made you the saddest? See, the thing is, I think the only one that's really hit me particularly hard so far was Elizabeth Sladen. Because of the ones that have passed away since I've started watching the show, she's kind of the only one who, like, I knew her work. Because, other ones that have passed on, like, because I've still got so many gaps in my classic, especially because that's more, where you're going to get people passing of old age or, complications related to that. So she was, that one bummed me out. That said, I should probably be upfront about the fact that I don't really get depressed by celebrity deaths. The thing is, I connect with work, and I'm not going to say I never do, and like I can certainly be disappointed by the actions of celebrities. They're capable of doing that, but like I don't stan real people in a way that would have it hit that hard. I've been surprised by celebrity deaths. I'm hard pressed to think of any that made me like truly deeply sad. Yeah. So I don't have the same reaction a lot of people do. Pished just sounds Irish to me. Well, it's a Red Dwarf reference. Now, I'm not gonna mish. Mish? What? You just said mish. You've only had 2 pints and you're steaming. Now, remember, I'm totally fine. I am not pished. Do you have enough thoughts? Ooh, Liam. Oh. Do you have enough thoughts about kink and sex as a queer person to do a video for the Vera Wild channel? Might be interesting for those of us who aren't educated in that area. So, I have been planning for some time to do a kink-related video on the Vera Wild channel. I have not had the time to shoot because, like, what I want to do with it is going to be a much more involved shooting process than I normally do. So I haven't had the time to do that because, like I said, I can't even get caught up. Make headway in like catching up on mainly stuff for the break room, commissioned reviews, and all that. So I've every time a new month starts, I'm like, this month I'll get to the kink video, and I never do. But my intention with that video is more to talk about my own personal relationship with kink as both a queer person and actually, honestly, also as somebody with ADHD. Upon reflection, I was kind of surprised to sort of hit on how much my ADHD shapes my relationship with kink. So, that'll happen at some point. When, I do not know. No promises on that. Much more involved shooting process. All that means, Ben, all that means is like multiple setups, wanting to do more interesting things with the lighting than I normally do. Because normally I just make sure my face is lit and I go. I want to I want to do things with that video that it's just gonna be more work than is typical, and like more work in a way that isn't usually how I make more work for myself. Generally, if a video involves more work, it's usually going to be on the editing end, and I'm getting used to that. I have the impediment of having an absolute crap garbage computer that chugs gravel trying to render things, but I do I'm used to that sort of increasing the back end, the editing side of things, increasing that workload. But doing a more elaborate shoot and more setups and more just doing a shoot in a way that it won't be something that I can just shoot in a day. Probably is not something I'm used to doing. So, oh geez, people are just going through celebrity deaths that hit them. Again, most of these like at most surprised me, but I don't know. I think it's just because a significant part of my brain just goes, you didn't know them. Like, I know their work, and I'm sad to the extent of, oh, we're not going to get any more from them, and I'm feeling bad for their loved ones. But, you know, I can't feel a personal sense of loss because I didn't know them personally. And that's not to, like, say that you can't feel a personal loss. I'm just saying I don't. I was surprised how much ADHD influenced my relationship with kink. Me, someone else with ADHD. Huh? So, like, when I eventually shoot this video, I'll go into more detail. But my relationship with kink is wide-reaching but shallow. So there's elements of the kink world where you have people who like this is their thing. And they go in deep on it. They go into, you know, you find this a lot with riggers and rope bunnies and people who like to tie up and to do the tying and to get into these really elaborate knots and these impressive setups and, you know, this gear. There's no aspect of kink that I am into enough to dive in that layer, because my brain won't commit to one thing that hard. But the flip side of that is I am up for and or into a much wider range of things than some, because some people like find their thing that works for them and just go all in on that thing. I can't do that. My brain doesn't work that way. So, you know, let's see. There are several intersections between neurodivergence, disability, and kink. TLDR, processing affects all of the things. See also claimed identify. I'm not sure what that second bit means, but yeah, yes, Discord. On it in just a minute, Carowin. Yeah, the way your brain processes, it's not that, like, I'm not saying my ADHD affects what I have interest in as far as sex or kink goes, but it does, I do feel very strongly that it impacts how many things I have a passing or fleeting interest in, and the fact that I don't like go in all on one interest. Like I personally make the distinction between a kink and a fetish. In both cases, it refers to something that is not typically part of a quote-unquote normal sexual encounter. It involves something being brought into play which is not inherent to the act of sex. And I'm losing viewers talking about this. I'm watching the count go down. Oh dear. But the distinction I make between kink and fetish is that when someone has a fetish, they're not incapable of taking pleasure in the absence of their fetish, but they're going to feel that absence. It's going to be slightly less fulfilling for not being there. Kink is not that dependent. When you have a kink, it's, oh, that would be fun. We can do this. But you don't, you're not as reliant on it. You don't feel its absence. At least not the specific thing. Like, if vanilla interactions bore you, then you might feel the absence of any kind. But like, you're not going to be bemoaning the loss of a specific thing if you're just sort of into kink as opposed to have fetishes, or at least that's sort of my colloquial understanding and distinction. Whether or not that's helpful, I do not know. Anyways, I need to hop over to the Discord. This is your reminder that the Council of Geeks Discord is a thing that exists, and it is an exclusive perk to Patreon supporters. So if you want to get in on there, which not only gets you me guaranteed to answer your questions if you ask them in the Discord live stream channel over there without having to do super chats, but in addition to that, there's a whole bunch of channels with various specific topics and things to talk about, and lots of cool, nifty people. I tried to think of a more elaborate word than people. I just landed on people. So people, cool people. I like the people. They're my kind of people. Okay. So I had said I had no solid theme, but I plan to be hydrating, and I said, well, there's your theme. Insert joke about being thirsty here. The thirst is real. So the theme will be rambling and Doctor Who. Got it? Yeah, pretty much. We all know it'll end up going there, and it'll be great. Aw. All right, 2 live stream questions. Given you no longer have the former day job, have you thought about putting live streams on at times which are more accessible to non-American continent dwellers? I hadn't. Part of the reason is that even though I don't have the day job anymore, I do still try and structure my own day similar to a typical work day. I'm not always great at adhering to that, but I do try. And so that's probably the main reason I hadn't thought about doing that. Now, that's not to say that I couldn't. Maybe I'll ponder that. It's not going to happen anytime soon, because like right now, I'm just like too much crap's going on for me to think about messing with what have been up to this point, fix things on the schedule. And then second question, as you did the Picard Season 2 trailer review, it reminded me that while overall I liked it, I hated what they did with Ikeb? I don't even remember who that is. Also with Hugh, but not so much. What is it you most disliked? Fridging of a character for nothing more than plot motivation? Well, okay, so fridging as I use it, and like I do think I use it properly. So fridging spawns from the phrase "women in refrigerators," coined by Gail Simone back before she was an amazing comic book writer, and back when she was just a fan and she had a blog, and she was noting the tendency of comic books especially, but it's by no means limited to superhero comics. But she was noticing the disturbing trend of injuring, harming, or killing, often very brutally, female characters for the explicit purpose of motivating a man. And it's called Women in Refrigerators because what set her off was when the then current Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner, he came home to find his girlfriend dismembered and stuffed into the refrigerator. And it was fucking gross. Ikeb was the Borg child from Voyager. Oh, that's why I didn't recognize it, because I don't know Voyager worth a dang. But, so, yeah, fridging it's a really gross practice. Now, it generally, when you bring up the idea of fridging, it is usually used in reference to women being damaged or brutalized or killed or raped for the express purposes of motivating a man to action. So this was a big part of why I don't like Deadpool 2. They fridge Vanessa in the opening. It's inherent to films and stories like Rob Roy, and it's really is really ingrained in a lot of these stories. And that's not to say that, like any trope, you can't say flat out that there has never been a good use of it, but its overuse, certainly, and especially the way that it treats these women not as characters, but as plot points to motivate other people, especially looked at on the whole as a pattern. And like some even like really beloved characters like Barbara Gordon in The Killing Joke. It's really gross. Male characters don't get treated that way. Which is why you generally won't use the term fridge to refer to damage to a male character, even if it is to motivate another male character, just because the cultural dynamic and the cultural baggage isn't the same. That's not to say that it can't also be gross doing that as well. God, adding nuance on the fly is fucking annoying. Okay. Deadpool also wasted the potential of Terry Crews and Brad Pitt. I can't disagree with that because I thought that joke was kind of brilliant. That's the thing. There's one stretch of Deadpool 2 that I love, and it's basically the entire X-Force thing. I love the recruiting. I love the fact that they pretty much all die immediately, and I love watching Domino's luck superpower. I love watching that play out. Oh, it's great. It's about the only stretch of the movie that I think is great, but I will legitimately say that was good stuff. Have you seen the Mysterious Benedict Society on Disney Plus? Have not even heard of it. I'm still surprised that it wasn't making you watch Doctor in Distress that made you finally say F you to me. No, because that was just a mildly annoying irritant. Your insistence on it, and then the thing itself was just bizarre. But like with that gag where I said that to you earlier in the stream, you poked at trauma, my friend. You poked at entertainment-based trauma. And you do so at your own peril. And that's all the water that there was to be had in there. What are your thoughts on Willow? It's a fun movie. I grew up on it. I have not rewatched it in a long time. In a long, long time. But I did like it. I used to watch it semi-regularly as a kid. And I know there's going to be a series on Disney Plus, and I'm curious. But there are parts like when that troll gets zapped and like his skin kind of peels back and it's just like this gross, wet, furry ball that the dragon starts to emerge out of. That did not belong in a PG movie. That was like a legit body horror moment. That was effed up. That whole thing. I'm rewatching Red Dwarf and Only Fools and Horses. I've gotten a chance to revisit some Red Dwarf because I've started listening to the Everybody Is Dead Dave podcast with Adam Martin and Philip Hawkins, and that's a good time. They're remaking An American Werewolf in London. What are your thoughts? Why? What? Apology not. I hope Mr. Buck's lack of work starts to heal your entertainment trauma. I tell you, I don't generally try to revel in people's careers stalling, but given that he was a showrunner, so it wasn't just like, an actor who maybe needs to just be cast in the right part. He was just an absolutely terrible writer and showrunner, and everything he touched turned to shit. I'm glad he's not working. I'm not wishing poverty on him. I'm not hoping he loses his house or whatever, but I'm just glad he's not working. Just glad he's not working. Yes, I need to fix the Twitch. There will not be a Twitch stream tomorrow. I am sorry to report, but as I've said a few times across the stream, too much crap. There's it's just too much. Too much crap going on in my life, and it's all happening at the same time, and it's piling up, and I'm a little stressed. I'm not going to lie. I am mildly stressed, and it's annoying. Because, I try and construct my work schedule, and I try to keep on top of things enough that I don't get particularly stressed. But it's happening right now. It's a thing. It's a thing that's going on. It's hard to watch The Crow knowing what happened to Brandon Lee. That's valid. For me, in an odd way, I don't want to go, I'm not going to say it makes the movie better, because that would be a really gross sentiment. But I will say that watching it through the lens of knowing what happened does give it different meaning. So there's the point in it, and this moment wouldn't have hit me without the meta knowledge of what happened. And that is, there's a point where he becomes vulnerable towards the end of the movie, and he gets injured, and Ernie Hudson asks him, I thought you were invincible. And Brandon Lee goes, I was. And there's something about the way he delivers just those two words, and knowing what happened and how effed up it was, it just hits different, John Vinals. I've committed to the bit of guessing at least 3 pronunciations every time I say it. I don't know if I'll do that next time, but it's what I'm doing this time. Woo! You get a heart, baby. Which character did you play in Once on This Island, by the way? Okay, so I played a couple because the way we had it was the gods and the romantic leads, whose names I am now, Daniel and Timoon, were the only fixed characters. And everyone else, even if you were playing a named character, was also in the chorus. So I did chorus work for a bunch of it. But as far as named characters, or characters with, distinct lines, I played Tauntaun Julian and Daniel's father, who I don't even know if he gets named. That said, we cut the song The Sad Tale of the Bozomes, so I didn't get a song as him. But I did get a couple of little singing bits I got to do as Tauntaun Julian, which was fun, and I enjoyed it. Again, I wouldn't play it now, but at the time I would have really loved to have played Papa Gay. I would have really enjoyed that. Agwe would have been fun too. Although we ended up casting, I say we, I wasn't in charge of casting or directing, but the directors ended up casting actually a woman to play Agwe, which worked better than you would think. So, yeah. Anyone who doesn't know that show, I've just thrown a bunch of names that mean nothing to you. I should wrap up soon. Because if I don't, I'm going to pour another drink, and then that'll be bad. Like, I know you'd have fun, but it'd be bad. It would go bad. Just got your book a couple of days ago. I'm 50% of the way through and really enjoyed it. Oh, thank you, Time Lord Rowan. That's really wonderful. As cheesy and as slightly scummy as it makes me feel to say, if you enjoyed it, I hope you'll review it. On Goodreads, where I'm getting a decent number of reviews, but if you got it off of Amazon, I need more reviews on there. Are you afraid of the dark? Erie, Indiana, or Tales from the Crypt Keeper? Did you like any of these growing up? Which did you like best? I didn't know any of those growing up. Tales from the Crypt, I found in my late teens, and it's got some enjoyment out of that. But the rest of them, I heard of, but didn't know anything about. Who's Mr. Buck? Scott Buck? Yes, Chris. Scott Buck, showrunner of the last 4 seasons of Dexter, and of Iron Fist, and of the Inhumans. I wanted to say the Immortals, but I knew that was wrong, so I stopped myself. But now I've just told you what I almost said that was wrong, so now you know I was fumbling and stalling for time because I couldn't think of the thing. And I'm hoping now that maybe you think it's endearing, or maybe I just look like I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, which would in fact be accurate. About half the time I don't. But I find if you can keep talking long enough, people will forget the fact that you didn't know what you were talking about, because they assume that if you really don't know what you're talking about, well, they're going to stop talking at some point. But if you just don't, and eventually you can hit on something that you do know what you're talking about, they'll forget the part where you didn't know what you were talking about. You know what I mean? Would you refer to us as a term of endearment? I don't have a collective term for my subscribers or my patrons, and I know some YouTubers do. I know that for instance, Dominic Noble, calls them his beautiful watchers and things like that. And I do think that's cute. I don't think that's a bad thing, but I could never think of something that I really liked for that. And then circling back to an earlier topic, I'm in the kink community enough to not take the bestowing of honorifics lightly. And I will leave it at that. Said the Pride Month is almost over. Yeah. It really did whoosh by. I thought we were the council. I mean, you are. You are. That is the closing thing. That is how I try and present as much as possible. But the council is very formal as a designation, and it is kind of, I think, sweet when YouTubers have a more affectionate term for their followers. Jimmy Dodgers calls his followers spuds. I do think that's cute, but did you ever watch Sense8? Liz and I just started trying to watch it again. We had started it years ago, got distracted, did something else, and we've come back to it. That's become our new watch together show. So hopefully we'll get through that. It's probably going to be slow though. You need to realize when we do shows that we watch together, it's 1, maybe 2 episodes each time we see each other. So it's going to be slow going. I should wrap it up. I see a bunch of people like bowing out, and I should wrap it up. I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh, good, Geek Filter. Good, somebody does. That's good because I don't. Vera's voluptuous vixens. Tempting, but like I know not everyone who watches me wants to be perceived as voluptuous. So that doesn't quite work. And vixens is a sadly gendered term. Have you seen Invincible? Nope, I have not. Oh, jeez, a whole bunch of questions coming. All right, I'm gonna try and get through these. Knowing it was his final role, James Stewart's speech at the end of Fievel Goes West is kind of emotional. Valid. I'm trying to get streamers' attention. I think they're ignoring me, but they claim they aren't. Have any sage advice? I really don't. I mean, give them the benefit of the doubt as best you can, because especially if the chat is really active and going by fast, it's hard to keep on top of. That's about all I've got. Would you two ever watch Glee together? Fuck no. Cats or Last Christmas, gun to your head. Cats is more interesting, so I guess that one. All right, we're done. So thank you very much for your time, your indulgence. This was fun. This, no plan. Don't know what I'm doing. Gonna ramble. Gonna hydrate. But thank you for tuning in. I hope you had a good Pride Month. And I hope you have a good time after that. Like I said, unfortunately, there will not be any Twitch streaming tomorrow. The review of Loki will still go up, though probably not till later in the day, unless I get really lucky. But like the normal release of stuff should not be disrupted. But like things are probably going to be quiet in the break room for a little bit because I'm just having a hard time getting on top of stuff. Anyways, thanks so much for tuning in. Have a good night. You are beautiful. You are valid. You are loved. You are the council. I just drink through the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned. McCavity!